Hi everyone, I want to talk to you about your critical assignment that will be due on day 4 of week 8. But now's the time to start talking about it and start preparing for that assignment. So that critical assignment in this course is a presentation on Medicaid or Medicare or the Affordable Care Act. And the important thing to remember is what I just said, is that it's a presentation. So please do not submit a paper. Make sure that it is in presentation format. And so what does that mean exactly? Well, think about if you were going to if you were in the classroom, we were all in there together and you were going to give a presentation, what visual components would you use in preparing for that presentation? So you'd want to be creative. You want to make sure that you have something that incorporates both visual as well as audio components. You may want to use a PowerPoint. Perhaps you'd want to use a presentation, or you could use Screencast-O-Matic, which is what I'm using right now, or VoiceThread, and they're free. But the important thing to remember is, regardless of which format you choose, your presentation must have some form of audio and visual component to it. In the Blackboard this week, under the section for your critical assignment, there is a video tutorial on how to use VoiceThread, and then there's also a sample presentation from another class. Make sure you don't copy any material. You'll automatically get a 0 if you do. And then there is also a rubric for this assignment that's attached for your review, so you can see how you'll be graded on this. One of the other important things about this presentation is that you must have a minimum, remember that's the minimum, 5 academic scholarly sources in support of the content of your assignment. So what does that mean? That means academic scholarly sources. They must come from academic journals. They can come from sites like that end in .gov or .edu. Sometimes you can find things on sites that like WebMD and news websites and Wikipedia that you may think are helpful to you, but they are not. Those are not academic sources. You can use them for additional information, but they cannot be counted as a academic or scholarly source. I would recommend just staying away from it altogether. Don't just Google something and think that that automatically is going to qualify. Make sure that it's coming from an academic journal, .gov or .edu website. Do not get lured in by popular websites. Important thing to remember. But every year and in every class, for whatever reason, I have students that just forget that or didn't listen to this piece, and I'll get Wikipedia a lot of times or a newspaper article or something to that effect, and that simply, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here at this point, but make sure that your sources qualify as an academic or scholarly source. Okay, so the critical assignment, it is a presentation on Medicare or Medicaid or the Affordable Care Act. You should identify and describe major components of whichever one you're choosing, responsibilities in the current structure of the chosen healthcare agencies. And so you're going to want to make sure not to just put basic things in here either. I want to know exactly how you're critically examining it, how you've analyzed it, and explaining the role of that agency. And so if you have, for instance, a person who is on Medicare, I don't want you to simply say, well, they have coverage for health services. Well, there's a lot more that goes into that. What does that mean? Does it cover everything that they want to do? Do they have access wherever they want to go? If you're on Medicaid, can you go wherever you want? Can you get whatever you want done? What are the limitations? What are the positive impacts in terms of access to care or preventative health services, or does it cover prescriptions? You really got to dive into the impact of what it does and all the positive things, as well as what it may not do and where there may be some gaps. But a real critical analysis is what I'm looking for, not simply a regurgitation of information. You can get some information that gives you your baseline, but then tell me, what are the implications? What have you, as you have critically analyzed it, what are some of the key takeaways in terms of its benefits, of its limitations, in terms of gaps, in terms of future direction? Those are all things that I'm looking for. You should provide a detailed, well-developed explanation of what was learned, which goes along with everything I just said there. Specific application, relationship to the field of public health or health in general, and analysis of relevant resources utilized and or needed for the U.S. healthcare delivery changes to occur. And then identification of major public health challenges facing the healthcare delivery system. So identify those, what are the major challenges, and an explanation of possible future directions for the chosen healthcare agencies. What's coming ahead? So integrate information learned throughout the course so that you fully address all aspects and requirements of the critical assignment. And make sure, as always, that your submissions reflect professionalism in terms of grammar, spelling, writing style, format. Make sure you don't have tense shift in the middle of your paragraph where you're talking in past tense and all of a sudden switch to present tense. Make sure that you are not using personal pronouns in your writing. That is typically a no-no for formal academic writing. You'll want to make sure to, as much as possible, to use active voice. Is, are, as opposed to will be or going to do this. Make sure that that your subject-verb agreement makes sense, that you read your sentence. Does it make sense? Is it speaking and flowing properly? Make sure, if you really want to capture the audience's attention, make sure you have a great intro with the key takeaways at the beginning that you want your audience to take away. If you have any questions through this, please reach out to me. I'd rather you ask now than as opposed to week 8. And I'm here to help and support you and provide guidance to you. If you have a question about how you're constructing it, or what elements need to be included, or things of that nature, please let me know. But certainly on a presentation, you want to make sure your grammar and your spelling and all of that sort of thing are correct. All right, so again, if you have questions about this assignment, again, there's a rubric on here for you to take a look at. And it clearly shows how it's graded, how many points are awarded, and what the criteria is for it. So the quality of the information, the relevant application, and then the big one, critical analysis. So making sure that it is easy to understand, that your presentation flows, that it ties together. And you can see, let's just go through the exemplary. Student proficiently identifies and describes major components, responsibilities, and structure of the chosen healthcare agency. It's your roadmap right here. Don't skimp on it. You want it 36 to 40 points. Make sure it's thoroughly covered. And then irrelevant application. Student critically examines, analyzes, and explains the role of the chosen healthcare agency in relation to U.S. healthcare delivery and the resulting impact on health and wellness. Again, this goes into, it's more than the regurgitation of information. This is the application of critical analysis and a great description of the impacts. Critical analysis here provides a detailed and well-developed explanation of what was learned, which includes specific application relationship to the field of public health, an analysis of relevant resources utilized. This gets into your 5 scholarly articles or sources and that are needed for U.S. healthcare delivery changes to occur, and an explanation of possible future directions for the chosen healthcare agency. One word of caution here, make sure it's nothing, hyper ideological, like, well, the future of healthcare just needs to be free healthcare for all, and it just ends there. Like, how would that work? How would that be economically sustainable? What impact would that have on the tax base? It's not really free, is it? If taxes are increased to pay for it, it's just a different venue of funding resources. And what are the implications in terms of covered services? What are the implications on access to them and choice and of services that you want to get when you want them? Are things excluded? So I'm looking for a very, very thorough presentation. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And I'm looking forward to hearing your voices and seeing your faces on these presentations, and what you've learned and how you're applying it. So this is a very exciting critical assignment. So again, I'm here to support you. If you have any questions between now and week 8 on this, please let me know, and I'll do my best to provide you adequate guidance. All right.